I watch TED Talks and a lot of like self-improvement and growth mindset type of stuff. Came across a TED Talk, and I think it was titled something like The Surprising Role of Nutrition and Mental Health. When I listened to that TED Talk, I was just kind of enamored. That TED Talk gave kind of life to something that was kind of brewing under the surface, which was, what next? Because the way I even came to my diagnosis was through a hospitalization. For me, that was 2 years ago. I was hospitalized for a psychotic episode. I had never had anything like that, and it was really scary. So at that time, I was a really active makeup artist, very active in my community, in church, very well respected. I had never had any type of kind of the stigmatized parts of bipolar, and I do have bipolar in my family. So it was kind of like easy to play it off as, I don't have that. That's what bipolar looks like when this person did this thing, or, and so it had never impeded my life, but I was still silently suffering. And so anyway, I ended up coming to that diagnosis through a hospitalization, and then was on medication since then. So by the time that, I got stable, it had been a couple of years, and I was not working. So I think I had lost a little bit of my dignity to this disease. So I felt like, okay, I have a diagnosis now and that's fine, but what next? And that had not really been voiced until I listened to this TED Talk that kind of led me to Hardy Nutritionals. And so that kind of just started a journey of just kind of like looking into what some other treatment options were for my disorder, and just seeing what maybe micronutrient therapy could do for me. But when I found Hardy's, I was like, well, there's something very different about these than just like a regular supplement. So it's just kind of interesting to learn this whole new world. And so, it's like, wow, I had no idea this even existed. And yet, even I think some of the video testimonies were the very things that helped me decide to actually make that investment in myself. What I was really so blown away, and kind of how Hardy's really won me over really early, was that because I was nervous about not having that oversight, when Hardy's called me the day that I received my shipment and proceeded to have like a 40-minute conversation that resembled like a psych intake, I was just so relieved. Like, I felt like, okay, I'm not doing this alone. Like, I have somebody that's literally talking to me about and understands, like, I've got medications, I have this problem, and this isn't working for me. And I was just so impressed, like, just at the customer service that I received. And I think that they were she mentioned usually they call people like every 2 weeks or check in every couple of weeks, but she said, we're going to put you on every week so that we can closely monitor what your symptoms are and, make sure that you have the right dosage. So I was just very, very impressed from day one, with Hardy's. So I was previously on a dose of Lamictal and trazodone. And at this point, I have completely come off of my Lamictal, and I have greatly reduced my trazodone, which was a very, very needed medication for me for a long time. I've struggled with insomnia, and that triggered a lot of mood episodes when I was not able to sleep. And so that trazodone, when I first started taking it a couple of years ago, I was taking, I want to say like 50 to 100 milligrams a night. And now I am down to literally an eighth of a 50 milligram pill. So whatever that dosage is, it's like an eighth of one pill that I'm now currently taking. And I expect that over time, I'll probably be able to eliminate that completely. Because if I'm being honest, I'm tired when I'm supposed to be tired now. And I have energy when I'm supposed to have energy in the morning. So these were things that I didn't have when I was on my medications before I started daily essential nutrients. But I'm very, very happy with the results, and I feel like in such a short time period, they've been very successful and brought a vitality and natural calm energy that I did not know I could have, frankly. And although I was very satisfied on the dosage of medications I was on before, just kind of through a fluke of not having access to those medications and deciding to start something natural that I didn't have to go and see a doctor or a psychiatrist to get a refill for, has just greatly improved my quality of life, and I'm just super thankful for that. I would say the top 3 benefits of taking daily essential nutrients for me at the 3-month mark that I'm at right now is that, one, I have energy. That's probably my number one. I have an energy that when I was taking my Lamictal and my Trazodone only, I felt stable, and I didn't feel necessarily like a zombie. But even my husband, and it's very subtle, but it's something that my husband has said, I feel like you have real emotions again. And that's something that, hearing that feedback has made me feel really good. And so that natural energy of just like being able to wake up in the morning, being excited about things again, not feeling like my life is dull, is probably the first most amazing benefit that I have. The second would probably be that actually having the regimen of the consistency of having to take the nutrients actually really aids in my social rhythm therapy. Of just, for those who are maybe not familiar with that, of just like sticking to a routine and being able to wake up at the same time, go to bed at the same time. That's a huge part of bipolar disorder treatment. And so I really am amazed at the other good choices that have come out of this decision to take micronutrients and daily essential nutrients. And probably the third benefit would probably be that I feel like I'm not tied to my doctor's office anymore. And I feel like if I need to make a choice for myself, for my own care, I can make that independently. And that has really given me a freedom that I didn't anticipate a few months ago, and has just made me feel very secure about my own treatment of my illness. So it's just very much empowered me. Even though I was content at where I was medicated and I didn't feel like a zombie on Lamictal, I have nothing bad to say about Lamictal. But when I made the transition to daily essential nutrients, kind of, because I had to, because I didn't have access to the medications anymore, I was just so impressed at the energy that I had, that I don't feel like I had, but it's a stable energy that I don't think I've ever had this long in my whole life, where I've felt this good when I wake up in the morning, where I feel like I naturally want to wake up at like 6:30 when my husband gets up, and I naturally want to go to bed at 9 or 10 p.m. And those are the things that I didn't have when I was on my Lamictal and my Trazodone. And so I would say that the difference that it brings for my family and my relationships is that they see a side of me that is not only stable and not causing problems, but they're, like my husband said to me the other day, he said, you're having emotions again. You're not. And it's just a subtle key difference. But he's like, I feel like I have my life back, like that I can see a side of you. You look really well, and you look good. You're acting normal, So it's just, I see a huge difference in just all 3 stages of my life, being without a diagnosis and medication, being on medication that is actually working for me and there's nothing necessarily wrong with it. And then using a natural micronutrient therapy like Hardy Nutritionals, using the daily essential nutrients with the greens probiotics and the aminos, and just how that has given me a freedom that I didn't know that I could have. So, to other people who are maybe unsure about trying daily essential nutrients, investing in yourself is always worth it. And if it doesn't work out, it's not something that's going to harm you. And so why not invest in yourself and see what micronutrient therapy could do for you? There's no way in the world that it can be worse long term than what you've probably already been through. And so even though there may be an adjustment period, depending on if you are on psych medications, if you have to come off of them, you're going to take them with it. Don't be discouraged in that journey if you do decide to do that. It is a process. And if you've been on medications before, you've probably already experienced that. And so there's nothing wrong with taking the time to find an option that works for you. And that doesn't mean that medication is bad. It's just a tool. But if there is something out there that can give you your energy and vitality back, your freedom back, and generally just help you to be a healthier person for yourself and your family, why would you not do it? So I would just like to say to anybody who is struggling right now, who maybe feels that they have lost hope or have lost dignity to this illness, that you are the only one who can take responsibility for your mental health. Nobody else can do that for you. Unfortunately, there's no bipolar fairy or mental health fairy that can come along and just say, okay, now you're better. But you don't have to allow a diagnosis, whether you accept it or not, to define you. And you don't have to fall into the trap of denial and feeling shame. And you don't also have to use it as a crutch and become part of your identity. There is hope, and there are things that you can do to take your life back. So be encouraged that wherever you're at, wherever you've been, you can take steps towards a better future.